My guest this week works in an industry most of us rely on every single day but rarely see. From keeping business running to connecting families across the world, telecommunications sits quietly behind the modern economy. Joanna Gilfoy, Director of Business at Vodafone, joins us to talk about leadership in a sector being transformed by technology, security challenges, and the demands of a digital-first world. Listen in to find out about the moment that changed everything. Before we get started, here's a quick word from our sponsor.
Great businesses aren't built on theory, they're built on experience, judgment, and the courage to lead through change. As a leading law firm, Philip Lee supports clients through complex, legal, and regulatory challenges, helping businesses move forward with clarity and confidence. With offices in Dublin, Cork, London, and New York, they support clients wherever business happens. Find out more at philiplee.ie.
Telecommunications is one of those industries that most of us rely on every single day, but rarely stop to think about. The calls, the data, the connectivity that keeps businesses moving and families connected. It's all built on an enormous amount of infrastructure, investment, and leadership happening quietly in the background. And at a time when digital transformation, cybersecurity, AI, and connectivity are converging, the role of telecom companies has never been more critical. Our guest today is Joanna Gilfoy, Director of Business at Vodafone, the company responsible for connecting hundreds of millions of customers globally. You're very welcome to Business Plus Talks, Joanna, which we're delighted to be partnering on with Philip Lee. Now, before we get into the serious stuff, I need to ask you something, and you can tell us the truth. Did your entire career start with an argument about your shoes, your school shoes with your mum?
It did. It honestly did. Do you want me to tell you the story?
Yes, please.
So, this is where two of my loves probably comes together. The fact that I have a love of fashion and style, and I have an absolute love of independence.
Okay,
I've been able to earn my own living. So I'm one of 5 girls. And there was obviously every single year before you go back to school, my mum would take all of us into town. And you'd have to get a school uniform. Now, obviously, as a parent, you and I both know this. You buy your children the hardest wearing, most practical shoes that there are. Not always the prettiest and the most glamorous pair of shoes, really.
It's a budget buy, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? Really, and the fact they're going to last. That's what you always say. They'll last you. There's room to grow. And so my mum probably in this element of frustration of me standing there with my arms folded and said, right, the day you earn enough money to buy your own shoes, you can have whatever flipping shoes you want. So I was 11 years old, so I was like, fine. So I went home and I thought, okay, so what can I do at 11 years old? And bearing in mind, this was the 80s. There's not kind of the rules that we have now. And I thought, well, look, I've got a younger sister. I can babysit. I have to do chores. I can clean. So I went around the village where we lived until I found somebody who would take on an 11-year-old cleaner and childminder. And I used to clean this lady's house on a Saturday morning for 3 hours, and I looked after her very young children. And I still remember to this day that moment of getting the bus into town with my mum, because she kept her word. And I went into town and I bought the pointiest, most uncomfortable, most impractical pair of shoes.
Most stylish shoes.
But they were honestly the best shoes I've ever had. I mean, so the other day I had the privilege of doing an image photo shoot, and I got to wear the most amazing pair of beautiful Valentino shoes, which I loved.
I'd say that felt good.
But to be honest, do you know what those shoes I bought at 11 years old meant more to me than an €1,800 pair of Valentinos? I worked hard for them.
If you want something, you need to work for it, right? And that's you set your stall out pretty well and pretty early, right?
Yes, absolutely. I do enjoy what I do. I love my job. I love the people I work with.
Well, you want it, Joanne, because you're 16 years?
Yeah, no, 18 years now.
18
years at Vodafone, 27 years in telco. I can age myself by the Nokia 3210.
My God. No, but you've got you've a fairly zigzag career though, because you were in Nokia, Virgin Mobile, EE, which I think is everything everywhere.
Yes.
So it's a little stint there. And then you're back into Vodafone because you left for a while, didn't you?
Yes, I did. So kind of starting with Nokia, it really was in the heyday of mobile phones and Snake. Remember Snake?
My favourite game.
See?
I had a 6310, I think it was.
Oh, see, everyone.
Were they the best in the business at the time?
They were brilliant. You have such an emotional connection to these things in our
brings
past,
you right back.
don't we? And I loved Nokia because also it introduced me to working in Europe. I worked in Finland and Sweden and Germany, but I worked for a company that at that time had such a strong brand. Absolutely strong brand. And I do think the fact that when you have a strong brand, again, like all the companies I've worked for, you have a purpose. with that brand. And then whilst I was at Nokia, I got headhunted to set up a new company. And this is where I suppose the other thing that I try and bring to everything is a sense of bravery and courage. I didn't know what the job was. I didn't even know how much I was earning, much to my husband's sort of, you didn't ask them kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I went along for a job interview, and it was to set up the world's first global MVNO, which was Virgin Mobile, working for Richard Branson and Virgin Management. And that taught me customer experience. If you do everything every single day, you wake up and you think customer every single day. But also it was have a go. It's just the fact that if you work with good people and you know what you're there to do, you can achieve anything. You really can achieve anything. And so I was nearly 10 years at Virgin Mobile. And then I wanted to join a bigger global company. So I came to Vodafone. And my career in Vodafone, again, I would always say to people, if you work within a big corporate, be curious. Find out what other people do, find out what other teams do, and always kind of say yes to the projects. And so I joined as a product manager, and I joined as a product manager back in the day where you used to buy SMS in bundles.
Oh,
remember that when you used to think I've only got 3 SMSs left?
That was such a blast from the past.
Hilariously. But then I moved on from product to digital transformation, and I've always had the sort of the...
You've covered a lot of ground within various roles, haven't you?
A lot. And again, I have quite a curious mind. I like to sort of view my work as like a massive jigsaw puzzle. It's a case of the fact that I think I can do my job better if I know how that piece works with that piece, which works with that piece. But also learning from people across the organisation. I mean, a friend of mine once told me to go and have curious conversations. So find somebody who you don't know and have a coffee with them, and you'll be amazed at what you find out. And then when I was at Vodafone, the old gang from Virgin were setting up EE. So obviously at that time you had Orange and T-Mobile who were coming together to form EE, and it was a lot of the people who I'd worked with at Virgin to do that. And I thought actually that would be you don't get the chance to do something twice, to work with those kind of people twice. And so I really wanted to go and see if we could make something out of it. And I was there for a couple of years, and honestly I miss Vodafone. I miss the culture. I miss the people.
I was about to say, what brought you back to the big red culture?
Yeah, it honestly was. I missed the people. I really did. And I came back, but I came into the business side, but again in more of a global role. And during my time, and I first came to Ireland back in 2016. I was head of product. I ran customer engineering. I ran technical pre-sales. I ran operations. I ran critical care. I've been the head of IoT for
I'm
Northern
actually
Europe.
surprised you're not dressing red today. You're taking on the Paddy's
today.
Day vibe,
Look,
are you?
I've got the green on today. And then sort of obviously moving into this role. It's accumulation of I call it a squiggly career.
Yeah.
It's gathering things as I go.
And people will understand that your accent is slightly UK based, right?
Have you heard that?
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
So did you work over there a fair bit before coming across?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've worked in the UK, but again, I've worked a lot in other European countries. I've done big projects in Germany, in Spain, in Italy. And another one of my roles when I was in Vodafone in the group side of things was to do all the mergers and acquisitions for Vodafone Business. So things like the big JV in the UK between Vodafone and Three, or the divestment of Italy and Spain. I had the privilege of really understanding how that side of the business works as well.
So, Joe, I'd love to know then, there's a moment in everyone's career that sort of changes everything, or there could be a couple of moments.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's shifts, and I think everyone sort of has that sort of tipping point where you kind of go, okay, I need to go this direction, or this isn't for me anymore. Is there one or a few moments in your career where you just reflected and went, I need to do something different, or I need to have a look at this over here?
I think there was a bit of a thread of I still had a bit of a longing to do something bigger. And I think this does come back to my kind of inner thing of courage and kindness. It's the two kind of tenets which I live my life by. And there's a book that I love, and I'm terrible for remembering the names of people who write the books, but I'm great with the titles. It's called Brave, Not Perfect.
Okay.
And that's what I really looked at and thought, am I being brave enough, or am I trying to be perfect enough in the job that I do? And I think that one of the areas was really kind of taking on the role that I do now, because being a director, especially of business, my remit is huge. It's and I don't just mean sort of huge as in the functionals that sit sort of beneath me. Is I have a huge amount of personal responsibility for the businesses that we support, the businesses we connect, the businesses that we secure, the businesses that we help collaborate, because I have tremendous admiration for people who have the courage to set up their own businesses. And I know that I don't have that level of courage to be able to put the house on the line and the life on the line to do that. So I think that my role in being able to do that is to make sure the fact that we are the best partner in the business to enable people to have their own business. And so I knew that I had that longing and that gap that really made me want the job that I have right now, and to have the drive for the job that I have right now.
I think it was Richard Branson says, like, if a job is offered to you and you don't know how to do it, take it and learn on the job. That's an element of bravery too, where you just go, you know what, I need to just do this. Just let's go. Like, why not? I mean, what's the worst can happen? Do
you know, I honestly have that. My mum used to say this to me. She used to say, never grow a wishbone where your backbone should be. And and you know that thing of when people say, oh, I wish I could do that, or I wish that I had thought of that kind of thing. You just say, just give it a go. I mean, honestly, the fact that, as you say, what is the worst that can happen? We're smart people. We work with smart people. So the fact we'll figure it out. And imagine how boring life would be if you knew how to do everything really well every single day, and there was nothing that gave you those butterflies or woke you up at 4 a.m. thinking, wow, how am I going to do this? And there's an excitement attached to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I get the sense that you wouldn't ask your team to do something that you wouldn't do either. Like, you just get stuck in, and therefore, you know, that's the type of leader people want to sort of work for and with. Right?
And I really hope that's what people think about me, because, and again, coming back to my kind of phrase of having a squiggly career, I'm just curious about everything. So if my head of product comes to me and says, right, we want to do this product launch, I want to be able to ask the right questions to make sure that we're doing the right thing. So we're working on a big sales bid, I want to make sure the fact that I can take that step back and think, right, well, when I was selling, what was the hard question, or where what did I learn from something before? But I also, I'm not into hierarchy at all, kind of thing. We're all in this together, and that's really important for people to feel the fact that people can come to me and say, Joe, I'm really struggling. I don't get this. I don't understand this, because I think there's nothing more frightening than thinking you're on your own, thinking you're the only person in the world that doesn't quite understand what's going on, whereas everybody has that every day. So
listen, I certainly get the sense, and even when we met down reception there, it was like there's a bolt of just energy and just pure human element to you. And it was like, you talked about being in the farm and raised there and all that sort of good stuff. And actually, if you don't mind me saying, you mentioned a few other things around the personal side and who you're carrying quite a load in terms of the family side of things, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, my husband took early retirement kind of for health reasons. He is a very happily retired man. Says that looking after me is his biggest job, which I think is very mean. But also, it's like my dad is getting on now. He's been through quite a lot of operations. He's had cancer. And I have a 3-year-old grandson who is a sense of hilarious joy to me. But I do feel that kind of a bit of a weight on me as well. And I am aware that sort of it's a weight that I embrace, and it's a weight that I would never want to be without. But it is still something that I feel and I carry. And it does sort of sometimes, there will be a point quite frequently when I think, am I doing the best for everybody? Am I doing the best for everyone? But there also has to be a time when I think, well, am I caring for myself? Yeah. Because you can't pour from an empty cup either.
Definitely.
And I think that also being able to recognize when I'm feeling a bit run down or where I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed, it also gives other people the open door to say, actually, we're feeling overwhelmed and we're feeling like we need a bit of help.
Well, kudos to you. And I think there's probably a reason then why you get up at the crack of dawn, or at least at 5:30 and go out and do your walk here, or hike and get the fresh air at the gym, whatever it may be, because it sounds like, you know, with that sort of scenario that you have at the moment, your time is now valuable in the morning, and maybe there's an hour slot you can get in before you need to do everything else throughout the day as well, yeah? Yep,
definitely. Every day I wake up, and when I wake up, I think, what am I going to enjoy today? So like coming in here and having a conversation with you, or later this afternoon, we're off to the Aviva, part of our partnership, obviously, with the IRFU. And I think I get to see 50 customers in a room. And so every single day I pinpoint in my brain, right, what am I looking forward to today? And on the flip side of that, I think, what am I going to find difficult? And how can I make the point that I'm going to find difficult, how can I make that a little less difficult or a little bit more enjoyable? And so then my 5:30 a.m. start it's every day starts with hope. Because look at today, the sun's shining.
Yeah.
It's Baltic cold, but the sun is shining. And I like that time in the morning where almost the fact that I have a little bit of space in my brain to kind of think, right, okay, what do I need to address? What do I need to do better?
I must say, sorry, Joe, you're a bolt of fresh air. Really are.
Thank you.
Genuinely, it's great to sit down and shoot the breeze with somebody who has all of that and more. And I would imagine your team would sing your praises.
Oh, that's very kind. You know, I am very, very, very lucky in the team that I have and the team that I build. I'm not too sure the fact that they love my 5:30 a.m. ideas. There's probably a few too many of them. But I always think the mark of a great leader is the day when they don't need me. That's the really big thing, because I know that I've built a team of confident, sort of dynamic, innovative, inspirational people who are passing that on to the next generation. As well, that's my ultimate goal as a leader, is the fact that it's never about me. It's always about everybody else.
You strike me as a face-to-face person as opposed to on hybrid, well, everyone can do the hybrid work, but I'd imagine you prefer going into the office and actually dealing with problems and people and solving challenges and all that.
Yeah, I don't think there's any problem you can't solve with a whiteboard and a Post-it.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Posts are making a comeback.
I love Post-its.
Yeah.
Do you know, I went somewhere the other day and they had Tipex, like the whiteout stuff, and I was like, God, that takes me back to school.
You're bringing like all of these elements way back from Nokia to Tipex.
I know. And but I also think that say at Vodafone we do hybrid working, we embrace it. But I truly believe, especially when you're at the beginning of your career, you need to be in an office, because you've got to learn from the person next to you. I mean, you had a big corporate life as well. I mean, if you think of what you learned, and not necessarily the technicalities of the job, the office etiquette, how to deal with people, how to solve problems, how to have difficult conversations in a positive way, you will only learn that by being in the office. And I think you see the different dynamics of leadership. If I think of some of the big projects that I've got involved in, it's probably been because I was in the office early, or I was in the office a little bit late, or I sat next to somebody who I overheard something and said, that sounds really interesting. Could you tell me a bit more about it? I think you need that human interaction.
So
as well.
you're obviously an inspiration for others. Who inspires you?
Well, there's lots of people at different times in my career as well. If I think of was it Anne Hegarty, the CEO of CPL. I mean, becoming the first female CEO with a company that floated on the Irish Stock Exchange. Because especially for women in the business world, you got to see someone to think you can be someone. And also, I can see that CPL is a big customer of ours, and I can see the culture that was built by her and obviously and her husband, really, but really by Anne. I can see the innovation, the dynamism, and do you know what? They're just generally nice people, and I can see that culture coming through.
The good will out, won't it?
It generally does, but also sort of in some of the smaller businesses that we work with. Take someone like Amy Connolly. It's the fact that I think that people kind of forget that makeup and skincare is really technical. It's really, really technical.
Yeah, not my wheelhouse, but yeah, I get it.
Yeah. Well, we can always share. But somebody again who's building a business from scratch, has a dream, has a vision, has absolute determination, but does it in a way that says makeup and skincare is not frightening.
Yeah, she's a powerhouse, to be fair to her. Yeah,
it really is, and I think it changes throughout kind of my career about who I really admire as well. But those are the two that sort of spring to mind.
So on that note, women in STEM, I had to look this up, right? So science, tech, engineering and maths, is that right?
It is, well done. They're even adding an A on the end now, I think, for arts.
What? Oh, really? Okay.
I know, yes. It's a very long word.
Do we need more?
Absolutely. I think that it comes back to bravery and courage. In my career, there's been many occasions, there's still many occasions now, I walk in a room and I'm the only female. And I just think, why? Still now. And I just think, why? It's getting better. But honestly, it's I was actually out with a customer yesterday, and he said to me, he works at a very big IT, and he said, I'm just not getting the CVs. He said, I'm really trying to really broaden our diversity, because sometimes people get a little bit too hung up on sort of like quotas and things like that. You should always employ the person who's best for the job.
Yeah.
But you've got to make sure that you're seeing the diversity to come in to make the right choices. And if I talk to some of the female engineers that I have, again, they were the only females on their engineering courses or on their software courses. So I think this kind of comes back to being at school. I think maybe still at school, people are still being a little bit, whether consciously or subconsciously, guided into sort of traditional, non-traditional. And you do get to a point you think, well, actually, am I brave enough to be the only female in an applied maths or physics course for the next 2 to 3 years?
Yeah.
And I think that a big role for the women in leaders, and I see a lot of this in Ireland, is you see a lot of very powerful female leaders standing up and saying, go for it.
Yeah.
It's okay to be scared. It's okay to be different, but absolutely go with your passion, go with your belief.
Yeah, I've been in our partners, Philip Lee's office a good few times, and they have a really good balance between male and female, which is great to see. And I think it should be run across, every company. And why not?
Absolutely.
But to your point, is it something that's lacking? Why isn't it happening more and more? I don't know the answer, but why isn't it?
I don't know that anybody actually knows the real answer for it. I think that sort of, I do come back to the see it to be it, see it to believe it. So I think that even like
you a manifester
like this, yes. I think I think even like in this interview here that we've got, the fact that sort of you getting a great number of women onto these, the fact that you'll broaden your audience as well. So you get more women who are thinking about, oh, actually, I'd like to go into business, I'd like to go into engineering or medical or science. If I think again back to mine, I'm the 5th female business director of Vodafone, and we've now with Sabrina, she's our 3rd female CEO.
Yeah.
So again, I think that sort of getting that almost like pedigree and bringing people up through the business as well. I invest a lot in people in their, not only in their new careers, people who are middling in their careers, women returning from having children. That's a hard thing. That's a hard time. It's a really hard time to come back in, especially if you've been a very high flyer.
Well, that I do know in terms of the confidence that's lacking at that point, because they feel like they've missed the boat or they're way behind on whatever's happened over those couple of years, right? They're like, oh, geez, how will I get up to speed again?
Yeah, how do I get up to speed again? What have I missed? And I think that sort of it's a mindset change of thinking, don't think about what you've missed. Think about the brand new skill set that you've learned. I mean, you're a parent. Lots of people listening are parents. The skill sets you have to get yourself and your children out of the door on time every single day, to manage the GAA, to manage the sort of like the music classes you're getting kids to manage the EQ side of empathetic side of being a parent. All of those skills are needed in business. And I think that instead of viewing them as something, oh, that just lives at home, I think that sort of being able to pick that up and say the fact that and I will talk from a female perspective, being an organised mum in the morning, bring that into work, because you got to be organised at work. You got to be able to say, no, I'm prioritising this now, but also stand up and say, I'm prioritising my family. I'm prioritising this because I promised I'd go and watch sort of my child's swimming gala. And I think that that's a really important strength to have in business, is to be able to prioritize, focus, and set boundaries.
So there's loads of shifts going on, and maybe people can take years off, because you could just dive back into AI and go, okay, tell me what's happened
for the last 2 years,
from the last couple of years. But there's obviously for you guys, there's 5G, there's cybersecurity, there's AI, there's a lot of shifts going on. Is there one in particular that you're focusing on, or that you're sort of, or all of them, the key cogs in the wheel there now?
You probably know from how my mind works, there's never one thing that I'm thinking about at any one time. But I would definitely start with cybersecurity, because I think that cybersecurity, it used to be something that only happened to big companies. And that's a massive mindset change. So it's a massive mind shift change, and it's a massive reality change. The fact that as individuals, we get hit by identity theft.
Yep.
And so every size of every business is now having to think about something which is quite scary. There was a recent report that Vodafone produces that says 50% of small businesses put cybersecurity in their top 3 of concerns, but 80% don't know what to do about it. And I think that also sometimes when you don't know what to do about something, it stalls you. You can think, I don't know what to do, so I don't know what the next step the next step is as well. So I think a big part of our responsibility, because obviously we have a huge internal cybersecurity function to keep Vodafone safe, is we are sharing that knowledge. First thing is talk to other companies, talk to us, talk to the Small Firms Association. So cybersecurity, hugely important, because again, a lot of cybersecurity starts with you as a human. You know, when you get that email that's got slightly dodgy spelling,
Yeah.
slightly dodgy
You
links.
click on it and go, and you've just been fished and something else.
Yeah, that kind of thing is
Yeah.
educating people within your business to say, okay, what are you looking for? And then obviously linked greatly with that, because you've got to secure your data to be able to use AI well, is using AI in the way that suits you. And I would say that I'm in my 50s, AI is still pretty new for me, and I'm learning how to use it in the most productive way that I can use it, really. And I think that if you run a business, you set a business up because you're passionate about the business. You're probably not passionate about tax. You're possibly not passionate about how technology is helping to do something within your business. It should help you, not a hindrance.
Yeah.
But again, learn about it. There'll be something. There'll be something that you can find that will just help you be more productive or more efficient, or enable you to enjoy the parts of your business as to why you set your business up.
Yeah, our previous guest, Donegal Casey, he's now in a company called F5, Seattle-based Washington company, and he's all about AI. So cybersecurity is their sort of mainstay, right? But he was saying, so we all operate in the LLMs, you know, the chat GPTs and the Geminis and stuff. There's 4 or 5 layers below that, and people haven't a clue what's going on. But to be able to embrace that to the best of our ability, to run it through a company to better just do business and be much more efficient and effective, you know. And I think that like the sooner companies grasp that and really get under the bonnet of it, I think the better it's going to be for everyone.
I really think so. And again, I always say to people the fact that to rank your problems with your business. Are your problems the fact that you're trying to scale really, really fast, but maybe you don't have the right skill set, or maybe sort of some of the core things that you need to be able to do are distracting you from where your skill set really lie? What are the core problems and growth opportunities that you want? And then find how technology can help you. It's not about, we don't believe that you lead with a technology. You lead with okay, what's the problem? What's the opportunity? What do you want to be able to do? And let's find the right way to be able to enable it. I mean, some of the use cases that I see, I mean, just something quite simple is the fact that, if you're in the service industry and you need to have a booking system, have you got somebody on the phone who's answering the phone trying to find the calendar slot? Does that work for you? Does that not work? Oh, look, that customer's cancelled there. You can use AI to do that. And it's embedded in a lot of applications. And a lot of time you actually don't know it's AI. Nobody phones Vodafone up and says, I'd like to buy some AI, please. It would be the weirdest conversation.
I'd say the big AI team though at the moment,
in the world. Yes, but absolutely. And that's the thing. But what people do is they phone up and they say, can you help me solve a problem? And we'll go, right, we absolutely know the right technology that helps you solve that problem.
You're a big problem solver though, I know it though.
We do love it. And then coming back to a question,
you in particular though, I'd say.
I do really love it. I think if I didn't have a problem to solve, I'd probably make one. But coming back to your comment around having a big AI team, that's a big thing about being a massive global organization. We have a good friend of mine, a guy called Ignacio, who's actually been over. He's done quite a lot in Ireland with us, and he's our director of AI. And the passion and the energy he has for AI makes me look quite slow. That's how high.
How many customers, Joe, have you got globally? Like it's hundreds. Is there a set amount you have? Because there's a lot.
There is an incredible amount, and it kind of depends what you mean by a customer. I've got 200 million connected IoT SIMs worldwide, so it's a really big number in a lot of different areas. And AI is something that we love experimenting with. I'm learning how to build agents myself.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's a
fun project.
It is. It's great. It is really great fun. And again, you have some people who are just embracing it, and they come in and I've written 5 this week because it's going to help me manage my diary, or it's going to help me answer these questions that people ask me every single day.
You're not just very good at the human business side of things, but you've also held a torch, I think, in the 2012 London Olympics.
I did.
The bearer of,
I'm impressed with your research.
Of that torch, yes. That's not something everybody gets to do.
Do you know, it really doesn't. And I'll kind of link this back. I went to do, I was lecturing in marketing at a local university, and there was quite some young people who were just like, oh, why would you want to work for a big corporate? And I was like, the things that working for a big corporation has given me in my life has been unbelievable. And actually holding the Olympic torch on a route as we went through the UK, But you did it with I did it with people who were just from the local town who were from Vodafone. So Vodafone recommended me for a particular project that I'd ran linked to the Olympics, but they put me into a big draw, and I was chosen along with a couple of other Vodafone colleagues to do it. And it was an unbelievable experience.
It's quite a nice thing to do through your company, isn't it?
It's quite heavy and it was really hot.
Was it?
Was quite
I'd say it was.
You have to hold it away from your hair. Such a girl problem. No setting fire to your hair kind of thing, really. But amazing experience.
Can I ask what your proudest achievement might have been throughout the career?
Throughout my career, my proudest achievement.
There was another project you did. It's saving lives, isn't it?
It really was, and that was the one that really sprang to mind. Like a lot of big companies, we know the fact that we have a responsibility to make sure the fact that we are doing the best for local communities as well. And Vodafone takes the safety of women very, very seriously. And one of the projects that we run was working with local police forces to be able to use our technical skills to help protect women, and I do say it is mainly women who are impacted by domestic violence, against serious harm from domestic violence, and I mean sort of being murdered by partners. Right. The number of women who are killed every week by their partners is still staggering. I think I know the UK stat is like 3 a week. It's
very
staggering.
much on the radar, Joe. Has to I wouldn't have had any idea about that.
It's absolutely awful. It really is. And so we worked with a lot of the local police forces using sort of Vodafone technology to bring that together with what problems are the police forces facing? Because on average, a female will get attacked 35 times before they before they report it to the police, because the coercion, the control, the fear that person puts into a female is absolutely immense. And so what we wanted to do was to be able to create something that protected women. It was, again, the most serious, the most sort of emotional project I've ever worked on. And the one that every time I said to someone, would you help me? Everyone went, absolutely yes, and twice on Sundays. And to be able to work with the police forces and to save women. I mean, the first year we saved 15 women. And we then extended it to, again, sort of mainly girls who are at risk of being taken abroad into forced marriages. You can use this particular type of technology working with schools.
Forced marriages?
Yeah, unfortunately it does. So actually being able to sort of prevent that and educate schools and work with quite young women who are in those kind of situations, it's something that I'm incredibly passionate about. I'm very, very passionate.
Well done. Let's up the humour a little bit and the ante, because that's huge mark of respect to you and the company for taking on something like that. So well done. I have a feeling you make time for a lot of laughs in work. I get the sense. But we all have our own worries too, right? And if I think I was saying to you, sometimes you can wake at 2, 3, 4 in the morning, but they're never as bad. Like that sort of nighttime buzz. It's like, oh God, the world is ending here. But it's just you in your head, right? They're never that bad. Get up and get at it. But like, people seem to sort of just live in their own head sometimes. But I'd imagine you have those too, in terms of just the inner thoughts, the inner demons. I know I have them. But how do you deal with that? Is it exercise? Is it making time for yourself? Is it what do you do to clear the head? It's
quite a combination of things, and it is always. Why is it always 4 a.m? It's that horrible time. Not quite night, not quite morning.
Slap bang in the middle, and then if you do go to sleep afterwards, the alarm goes off.
You feel terrible, don't you? When you wake up. I mean, the first thing I think I do when that happens to me is the fact that I like to write things down. I sit and I think, well, what kind of is it really? And it's almost that stream of consciousness of not trying to form a proper sentence, but I'm just like, what is it? What are the words that's bothering me at the moment? And I kind of try and write all of the words down. But I then think, well, actually, you're going to feel better if you go back to sleep, kind of thing. Because sleep is so important. You need to get a good amount of sleep, really. But then I also have a couple of ways of dealing with it. As you say, the fact that I love to be outside. I'm at the age now when I love pottering in my garden. I grow my own vegetables. I love being out there. Do you love a bit of vegetable gardening? But also I have a wonderful group of trusted friends. And all of us do quite similar jobs, but a couple of us have really different jobs. So you get a different sense of perspective. Cool. It's I always say to people, the worst thing that will happen to you in your life will not happen to you within the hours of 9 to 5 at work. The worst thing that happens to you in your life will always be outside of work. So have a little bit of a sense of perspective. Is the fact there's generally not an XL emergency. there'll be a problem to solve. It's probably not an XL emergency. So have a little bit of a sense of perspective, and having friends that sort of go, catch yourself on, is always quite helpful. And my husband's very good at that, because he lives in a retired world, and he's just like, really, let's do something different.
Why are you rushing around, Joe? What's going on here?
Why do you live your life for 30-minute increments every single day?
Well, you do finish at 4 though on Friday, don't you?
Oh yeah, I do. And again, boundaries, massively important, because I give a lot of myself to work and to my colleagues and to my teams at work, but I owe it to my family, and I owe it to myself, really, to just say this is a boundary that we have to absolutely have, to be able to take a bit of a breath, a bit of a wander around my garden, go and see my grandson, spend time with my family, just like to have that, and have a thinking time. Reflection is important.
And you mentioned as well, Joe, that you deal with all walks of life and work and different backgrounds, you know, and I've done it myself where you just speak in layman's terms. A lot of people, you know, to sort of prove a point, the tech speak comes out. It's like, would you please shut up?
Because my husband says this: don't talk to me like I work for you.
Bingo. No, but it's true, and you get such, well, the buy-in is huge if you speak to people in just regular day-to-day format style. That's just not necessary, but people in a senior role sometimes feel they need to do that.
There's still quite a bit of egotism that kind of happens in the world, which it tends to be one of those things that big egos kind of make me laugh a little bit, really. I can't take. I don't think I have one. I think my team would probably tell me if I'm ever acting up. I think they'd probably say to me I was having notions, which is one of my favourite phrases. But it's a good thing about being out with customers. When you go out with customers and you actually do understand that there are really big kind of real life situations. I mean, we work a lot with obviously the HSC and the National Ambulance Service, and they sort of, it's a privilege to be able to make sure the fact that we can underpin, and we do underpin what they do, but understanding what their stress is the most important thing, because it's also something to bring back into work. And when you are having an argument about margin, or is this free cash flow or something like that, it's a real thing to be able to come back and say, well, actually, is the conversation we're having going to benefit customers? Will it benefit our colleagues? Is it going to leave a legacy? And I think that that's a good anchor point to come back to, rather than diving into, as you say, maybe the egos and maybe the sort of the language that we might be using.
So what would be then the most fulfilling part of the role? Is it dealing with people and helping solve those challenges and problems, or what sort of?
Well, as you say, I was
going to say what gets out of your bed, but I don't think you sleep.
As I say, I am a problem solver. I love to hear customer stories. We had Caroline Whelan, the CEO of BlackRock, come in recently to obviously BlackRock Health, and she came in and she talked to one of our all hands. But what she talked about was her vision, her company's vision, and what they're bringing to women's health, because obviously they've opened the women's health clinic, which is 100% digital. But I loved hearing the story, the vision, and I could see just the look on other people's faces around the room, to really feel the passion that goes into it. And even the thing of, she said, well, when we were designing the clinic, because women are coming in there and they might be going through menopause, or they might be really worried about fertility, or they might be really worried about something that's happening. And she said the fact that we even viewed the fact that, what do we want the place to smell like? They're like, we want it to smell like a Jo Malone candle. And you can see every single female just nod and go, oh, we like Jo Malone. I like that as that as a vibe. I like that as an ethos. And to be able to think on that detailed level is just something that I get a tremendous amount of enjoyment from.
So I always feel that, you know, when you're trying to respond
to
something instead, and I've made the mistake where you just bolt out of the blocks, and then it's like, it's too late now. However, over time and through experience, you learn to just shut your trap.
Yeah.
Pause, reflect, and then go, actually, do you know what? We should maybe do it this way. Because you can lose the crowd and the audience quite quickly, can't you, if you just react as opposed to respond with intent?
Yes, and I really like that phrase, react and respond. And it's a muscle you have to practice, because I think, again, that sort of big business is quite competitive. Internally, it's quite competitive. You kind of want to be on the radar of people who are going to help your career. You want to be seen as the innovator, the thinker. And also, sometimes you can be a bit siloed in your thinking. If you're like, I want to win for me, for my department, for my project. And that, I think, is a maturity of professionalism and leadership, to be able to take a beat, take a breath, and think, actually, am I about to say something that's for the general good of this conversation, or am I about to say something that's a goal for me? And it's being able to distinguish between the two. But also, when sometimes conversations feel like they're going round in a circle, to have the confidence to, we kind of appoint somebody who does like the timeout.
Yeah.
It just says, we've been discussing the same thing for 5 minutes now. Why can we not get past it? And you need that diversity and that mixture of personalities, because you do need the go-getters. You do need the people who want to thump the table and say, no, we are brave. We can do this. I want to do it. And then you need the people who are going to be the balance offsetting that as well. And again, I think that's something that I try and do within my leadership when I hire people. I want to hire people who are different from each other. They have the same core values, but they have a different approach. Because I always learn from them as well. Sometimes in my team, I do have my team will come to me afterwards and just say the fact that, can I give you some feedback? I felt that in that meeting you'd kind of decided the outcome before we had the discussion, so we didn't really have a great discussion.
And so, Joe, would there be like a mistake that maybe put some manners on how you lead today? Like, would anything kind of jump out that really sort of you reflected on that? That was a bit of a turning point there too, where, because listen, we all make mistakes, but was there any in particular that you kind of put your hat on and go, yeah, I shouldn't have done that, or that was a bit of a silly move?
I think, if I remember, quite early in my career, because I come from a marketing background. I didn't go to university, but I just done my degree sort of outside of work. But I felt that I had a bit of a stigma that I gave myself about not having gone to university. So I didn't think I was as smart I didn't think that I was as smart as other people who had been to university. And so sometimes I would, even though I had the thought in my head, I wouldn't say it. And sometimes a project would go down a wrong way and I'd still be thinking, this is wrong, this is going in the wrong direction. And something bad would happen. And I would think, do you know what, if I'd have stood up and had my own courage and my conviction, or even said what I was thinking, then I could have prevented this happening.
Great answer, yeah.
And I think that that's something as well, for me as well, is the fact that it doesn't matter whether you went to university or you didn't. It doesn't matter whether you've done that job or you didn't. I ended up doing a college course at night with the company I was working with. They paid for me to go, which was great, because a bit like you, I was like, yeah, but if I'm going to be working here and someone's going to ask, hey, what degree or diploma have you got? I don't have any. And that's sort of like, that's on me though, going, why don't I feel good enough to do this job? Yeah. Because I don't have a piece of paper to back it up. Yeah. But, tuned in, if you're good as, well, not that you're good as right generally is, sorry, it always is, if it feels right to you. But, you don't have to have oodles of degrees and diplomas to be good with people, which is the main part of a job, to get the best out of them, to understand where you need to go, or to be able to stop something that's tracking. I don't think that's right. Absolutely. And I also think that where people's careers are going now, I read a book recently which was called The 100-Year Life. And obviously that with sort of all the developments in health and technology, people are going to live much longer. So people's lives are being sort of chunked down into different parts of it. Because it used to be you had education, you had work, and then you retired. And that was kind of it, and it was set out. You got the gold clock kind of thing, really, and you went off to happy retirement to tend your garden. But I think nowadays, and having read that book, people's careers and people's lives are like this. I see so many, especially like the young graduates that we have coming in. They'll work for a couple of years and they'll go, yeah, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go traveling. Yeah. It's sort of, and I think, wow, that's exciting. So you go off and you travel for a couple of years and you got no bother about coming back and going, oh, I'll just do something different now. And I think that's a different life. The game has changed,
isn't it, though? Yeah.
Yes, a different life that we're seeing. And as a company, we have to kind of adjust to that different change as well. But also, some people would say, I know quite a few people who have actually gone, do you know what, I'm going to go and qualify as something else. I've done this for 20 years, but actually, do you know what I want to be? I want to be a life coach. Or I actually want to be able to be, I had someone who said he really wanted to be a physics teacher. And that's he worked in corporates for 25 years, but trained to be a physics teacher, kind of thing, really. And I think everybody's lives are changing a great deal.
Yeah, it's very, like, the younger generation coming through, and I don't know whether it's driven through social media, but they very much chop and change, to your point, quite a lot. If they don't like something, they go on to something different quite quickly. Right now, it's not great for the employer, but they kind of feel, well, I can do this because that's the way we're sort of brought up. We're always about being connected and being on all the time, right? And if your phone goes down for a split second, you're like, what's going on? What's happening here?
Yeah.
By the way, did Vodafone UK merge with Three last year?
Yes.
So are we going to get to a stage, Joe, where it's a 2-player game down the line, or, you know, there's going to be a monopoly? Because the bigger fish sort of tend to win with that sort of dominance in the marketplace.
I think there's kind of a balance with that as well, really. I mean, also because I've obviously worked, as you say, I've worked for the big fish, but also set up the first MVNO in the world as well, obviously with Virgin. There's a place for absolutely everybody.
Okay.
And I think that's the balance that you want, because competition is good. Competition is good for the consumer, it's good for businesses, but it's also good for us because it keeps us on our toes. I mean, every day I need to think, why would my customers stay with me? Why do my customers want to be with Vodafone and they don't want to be with anybody else? And having a healthy competition in the markets is important. But there is a part about running a telco company. It's a huge amount of infrastructure. I mean, we've invested in the last 10 years, I think 2 billion just in Ireland alone, and that's network, that's IT, that's data centers, that's service, that's training. It costs a huge amount of money to run a telco infrastructure. I mean, also, especially when you always want to be able to provide the best. I mean, we're working with our JV, our satellite company, to bring satellite. And I mean, I would never have envisioned the day when I can say that we connect you from the sea to the sky, from an under the sea cable that comes from America to satellites that are low orbiting the Earth. I mean, that's the amazingness about technology, but that costs a lot of money. And you want to make sure the fact that we're always offering the service that you need. So competition will drive that. But I think there is a mindfulness of it doesn't come for free and the investment is high.
So I was with Vodafone for about 10 or 15 years, went to Three for a little bit, came back with a vengeance.
I'm very pleased to hear that.
And also they gave me the best deal, but the customer service is brilliant.
Oh, I'm pleased.
And also, and I'm not saying that for the sake of saying that, there's a reason why you went back to Vodafone. You know, I went back from a customer point of view, but it rarely drops from a data perspective as well. You know, if you're out somewhere in the wilderness, it's the coverage is pretty good. But that's all the applause I'm going to give you now. Okay?
Oh, is it really? Well, I'll take those, and I'll also take them back. I'll take them back to the guys as well. They'll be very appreciative.
Well, before
of
we
that.
wrap up, so you're a keen hiker. I think you did Mount Fuji. So is that a pilgrimage site?
Yeah, it is. It's and I completely 100% blame my friend Claire for this. And so Claire and I were both 50 recently, and we have a group of friends, and we were like, what should we do? I went to Budapest to do a lovely spa and had cocktails and lovely food all weekend. Claire decided we had to climb Mount Fuji. So 2 very different ones, really, but it was an amazing experience.
I'd say, yeah.
I mean, you see the sunrise from the top of Mount Fuji, and as you would imagine, Japan, it's so well organised, and it's brilliant. I mean, the stations you stop on the way up, we had ice cream at one of them, a cup of tea at another one, and some noodles at the top.
How long did it take you?
It's a 24 hours.
Oh, nice.
But you do it when you start.
What's it like? Just shy of 4,000 meters. Yeah, that's good going.
Do you know, it's brilliant. It's such a again, coming back to this peacefulness. There's a peacefulness about mountains. Yeah. That I absolutely enjoy. But yes, I do love a good hike. I'm doing another one in May this year. We're doing a 26-mile marathon hike to raise money for Alzheimer's Association.
Brilliant.
So we always do it for a charity as well.
Great cause. And you've mentioned a good few books throughout this.
I know, yeah.
So you're an avid reader?
Yeah, I really love reading. It's I learn a lot. I think I maybe like a lot of people, I feel I have a book in me. I'm not entirely sure what it's going to be. But I do love it because I learn something from every single one, and I always love it when other people recommend books to me as well.
Books over podcasts?
Depends on the day. I love a long distance flight, because then I can really sit down and read. But when I'm busy in the morning, I'm very structured. I get up early, I do gym or a hike, and then I have half an hour when I listen to a podcast to learn something. So if it's a masterclass or one of your podcasts, it's nice to have that when I'm flitting around the place and trying to get ready.
Yeah. Okay, so Joanna, we have I think it's a very good question from our last guest, Donegal Casey. So I mentioned him earlier on. He's an AI sort of Zen master. So the question he's left you is,
interesting.
What's a popular misconception people have about you?
Popular misconception that people have about me. Oh gosh, I never really thought about that. Possibly the fact that I'm probably more Irish than English.
Are you?
That's how I feel in my heart. It's a bit like, and now obviously you know the fact that there was a slight incident at Twickenham the other week where England got absolutely trounced, and people said to me, "Were you not devastated?" Because obviously we were there with customers, and I said honestly, my life of watching rugby has been since I moved to Ireland. So I'm Team Green, much to my dad's disgust kind of thing, but I'm Team Green all the way. Yes, a misconception someone would have about me is I'm more English than Irish. I'm more
Very
Irish.
good, great to hear. And a question then you would like to leave for the next guest.
Oh, a question I'd like to leave for the next guest. If you asked 3 people to give 3 words about you, what would they say?
That's quite tough to do now, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, it is. It is always quite enlightening.
That's honing in on something that's tricky there, but I love it. It's... who's the next guest? Oh yeah, no, who that is. Well, okay, grand.
And they're gonna hate me for that now, aren't they? Really? Yes.
Well, no, they probably will. Yeah, but I won't say anything. Joe, thanks a million for joining us. I think you've given us a huge glimpse into the industry and what you're doing and where you're going with it. And connectivity is almost that invisible thing, but its impact on business innovation is very visible. Huge kudos to you and the Vodafone team for doing what you're doing and shaping what the future looks like. And thanks again for joining us, and thanks to everyone else for listening in.
Thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Likewise.
Thank you so much.
Cheers.
A quick word about our sponsors, Philip Lee, LLP. Great businesses aren't built on theory, they're built on experience, judgment, and the courage to lead through change. As a leading law firm, Philip Lee supports clients through complex, legal, and regulatory challenges, helping businesses move forward with clarity and confidence. With offices in Dublin, Cork, London, and New York, they support clients wherever business happens. Find out more at philiplee.ie.